Good evening, everyone. Welcome, Himani ma'am. Welcome,
Good evening,
Kathy
ma'am.
ma'am,
I
once
hope I'm
again.
audible.
Good
Yes,
evening.
Himani. Yes, Himani. Arun Mohan, are we good to go?
Yes, ma'am. Totally good to go. Okay, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope you all had a jingle bell time so far. So it is our 198th web training series. Now it's my time to turn on my AI to welcome the moderator of the day. So here we go.
First of all, I, the interdimensional AI, the entity, wish all the BTAG members a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. This evening in our 198th web training series, we are going to have a deep look into the topic, Art Integrated Activities in Social Science. Now it's time to turn on my AI, Layla, to welcome our moderator.
Good evening. I hope you all are having another day in paradise.
Welcome to all the exuberant educators to the 198th
Series of BTAG in association with CBSE Bharat Sahadaya. Now I proudly present today's moderator, Ms. Himani Bakshi. Ms. Himani has a decade of experience as a teacher of English language and literature. She is a master in English literature from the prestigious Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University. She has been actively involved in promoting holistic education and experiential learning among students. She is currently working at Modern School, New Delhi as the high school English language and literature teacher. She is also the subject coordinator of the middle and secondary wing. She has rendered her services as observer in National Achievement Survey 2021. So Himani ma'am, wholeheartedly I invite you to moderate this grand session. Please ma'am. Over to you.
Welcome, ma'am. So we are again so fortunate to have you as our moderator. So stage is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Arun Mohan, sir. Season's greetings to you and everyone in this webinar. I shall begin. A very good evening, everyone. Before we begin, I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Abdul Salam and BTAG for giving me this opportunity. I also extend a very warm welcome to all the participants. It is indeed a pleasure to have each one of you as an important part of this webinar. Together, we are going to embark on this enlightening journey of gaining insight in art-integrated teaching pertaining to social sciences in today's 198th web training series. The BTAC community, along with today's very talented resource person, Madam Khyati Dwarkadas, will seek to provide valuable inputs in this session. So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed educators and curious minds, welcome to today's webinar on the dynamic fusion of art-integrated teaching in social science. In this transformative approach, we'll explore how the synergy of creativity and curriculum can elevate the learning experience. Picture a classroom where history and geography aren't just lessons, but vibrant canvases waiting to be painted with the brushstrokes of imagination. Today, we will undertake a journey where art becomes the nexus to understanding complex social science concepts. So let's buckle up for an engaging exploration of how creativity can breathe life into the study of history, geography, and cultures. Let's redefine education together in this webinar, where the language of art meets the depth of social science knowledge. Before we begin with today's session, there are a few things I'd like to brief you about. Switching your device cameras is optional. However, any query during the session can be conveyed through the meeting chat box. In order to have an interactive experience, you may note down your queries and ask them at the end of the session. Our resource person will be happy to clear your doubts. Please click the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called out for asking your query. and the participants will have the opportunity to receive certificate only after filling up the certificate and feedback form, the link for which will be shared at the end of the session. Kindly stay connected till the end of the session. At this juncture, on behalf of all of us present in the webinar, I would like to thank Dr. Salam for empowering us with such enlightening sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Abdul Salam, who is the distinguished CBSE resource person and master trainer. Sir is the principal of Vibgyor High, Bangalore. He's also the founder of BTAG, Bharat Transformers Academic Group, a consortium of educators and the teaching fraternity across the globe, connecting them together to empower the nation. Sir, it is indeed our pleasure to have your gracious presence, and I would request you to take over and deliver the welcome address.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Salam, sir. There seems to be a little lag, but we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for kicking off the session. Thank you, Miss Sarita Arun Mohan, Himani ma'am, and Miss Kyadi. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Everybody was requesting for this particular session from the social studies group. So here is the session for you. Please. Joining. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you for joining. Over to Himani ma'am. Himani ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir. Thank you so much for your kind words.
Yeah, over.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, amidst us, we also have Madam Annie John. She's the treasurer of Bharat Sahodaya. Madam John has a vast experience in the field of education in many capacities. Currently, she's heading the MAKM School Trivandrum as the principal. Ma'am, we are honored to have your presence.
Himani ma'am, I don't think so. Annie ma'am has been able to join.
Sure, ma'am. Sure,
Yeah, she's not there. We can go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll skip the part. Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, now we shall proceed to the highlight of today's webinar. Amidst us, we have very talented Madam Khyati Dwarkadas, who is an experienced educator at Gopi Birla Memorial School, Mumbai, and holds the position of HOD Social Science. With over 24 years in secondary and senior secondary education, she has led the school to win prestigious awards. As an innovation ambassador and school training nodal coordinator, Madam Khyati has shown resilience during the pandemic, conducting online and offline training sessions for CBSE COEs and Sahodaya school complexes. Recognized by CBSE for her voluntary efforts, she has received many accolades. Madam Khyati's commitment to professional development is evident in her role in crafting the 3-tier training manual for CBSE COE Pune on creative thinking and problem solving. Her extensive 21st century knowledge, strong communication skills, and leadership makes her an asset to the education community. Ma'am, on behalf of all of us present in this webinar, I wholeheartedly welcome you, and I request you to take over the proceedings of the evening.
Thank you so much. I firstly would love to express my gratitude to Dr. Salam for inviting me and giving me the opportunity. I think this is the 3rd or the 4th time in this last 100 sessions that we've had. Earlier, I would be on the other side, like most of us, listening and learning. But thank you for the opportunity to also be a resource person for BTAG and Bharat Sahodaya. Once again, thank you very much to the entire social science fraternity for joining us. And thank you, Himani ma'am, for being such a wonderful moderator. I'd love to now share my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Just give me a moment before I start. So I think my screen is now visible. Right?
Yes,
Is it
ma'am.
vis-
Now it is visible.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you so much. So let us begin with art integration in social sciences, and I'm going to keep the chat open on the side. I'd love the participants to tell me which grades do you happen to teach. You can just mention whether you're teaching in the primary, you put a P in the primary, M in the middle section, and S for the secondary section. So I can see a lot of mixture there. Lovely. So we have educators from across sections, primary, middle, and high school. For the secondary section, thank you so much, dear educators. It is indeed my pleasure to have all of you connected with me here. Thank you, educators. You may stop mentioning your section. So the objective of today's training session is basically understanding arts as a pedagogical tool, its impact on the holistic development of a child, familiarity with art expressions, experiences, how art becomes a medium of creative self-expression, and the skill of planning and organizing age-appropriate experiences to learn and organize different activities in social science. So when you look at it, what is art? How are we going to look at art? So art is an expression, or it is probably an application of human creative skill, imagination, visual form like painting, sketching, various branches of creative activity like music, craft, drama, dance, games. So art is thus the best way to promote experiential learning in a child while the child explores it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly ask you all to take a piece of paper and quickly draw a house. Draw a house on a piece of paper, quickly. I love everyone to do it. It will take us only a minute. And for those of us who can switch on their videos, I'd love you to quickly display the house you've drawn in the video. It's simple. You just have to keep the house facing the screen. Don't worry, educators. We are all belonging to the same fraternity. It's strange. I see no houses. Himani ma'am, do you see any in the gallery view?
ma'am, I can see one or two educators trying to put it in front of the camera. It's because of the lighting. I think Saima
Yes.
Mathu ma'am's house is quite
Yes.
clear. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
And
because
I
of the
can,
lighting, it's
yes. Saima Madhu ma'am was very clear. Happy Maria is also clear. Satya ma'am, I'm not able to see it.
Our Renuga ma'am is showing.
Yes, Renuka ma'am is very clear. Harshada Joshi, I'm not able to see it. Yes, beautiful. So you can all clap for yourselves, and if all of you were also seeing the same houses in the gallery, you would have known that all of us have used a triangle on the top with some kind of squares and rectangles to make the house. Maybe one or two of us decided to change the form of the house. And why did this happen? Because when we were young in school, we were taught that a house is drawn with a triangle on top. And once you've made the triangle, you make a rectangle below it, and you extend the triangle, and you make another one, and you make a square below it. You make square windows and probably a semicircle somewhere. If you are asked to draw a scene, we'll probably draw a tree with a river and some mountains, a semicircular sun. And that's the way we were taught. It's instilled in our minds, and the entire population of a nation as big as ours would still end up drawing the same house. What have we done, and what have our past generations done? They have killed the creativity within us. Therefore, we as educators now need to bring about the change. Today, if you ask a child to draw a house, it will not be like this. You give them the freedom to express the house the way they wish to have it. It could be futuristic, it could be something they see today, it could be their own imagination. It need not be a house per se. It could be free art. So what is art integration? It is an approach, okay? It looks at how a concept is taught rather than what is taught. Anybody can teach content reading a book, but the way we transact the curriculum, the way we teach the concept is very, very important. It is the process, not the product, that we now need to focus upon. There may be a hesitation to use art in the classroom due to inhibitions like, I'm not an artist, I'm not good at drawing, how will I draw? Like many of us today, we're not in a position to display our drawing on camera thinking others will laugh, but nobody laughs at us. They might, students may sing and dance, and sometimes as teachers, we also need to join into the song and dance. But the question is not bringing out an art product. It is using art as a medium of learning. Art integration is not a replacement for art education. We will still have those art education periods. Art integration is combining art forms learned in the art education periods into our subject. So we're only integrating something that has been taught in the art class. So with this knowledge, students will then be able to integrate art within our classrooms. And arts give us the tool and skills that are essential to help us make our way throughout life. We owe it to the next generation to ensure that they enjoy an education that is all theirs. It gives them the freedom to express life and culture. They are able to use the hand, the head, and the heart. Bloom's taxonomy, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. Gandhiji's Bunyadi Talim, Nai Talim, where the hand, the head, and the heart are used. John Dewey, experiential learning, use of hand, head, and heart. That's exactly what art integration is all about. Giving the students a joyful learning experience. So art integration then is a cross-curricular approach to teaching and learning based on collaboration between teaching of the subject with teaching of visual and performing arts both. Students use their existing knowledge of art to construct new knowledge in other subject areas. And emphasis is given on skill building in projects. And when we take a look at the philosophical view, Rabindranath Tagore pioneered the idea of relationship between arts and learning. And in his theory of naturalism, he has largely based the idea of using various art forms as a medium to learn scholastic concepts. Similarly, there are many sources that indicate that music was something that made Einstein the happiest person. Einstein is also quoted as saying, "Life without playing music was inconceivable for me. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. I get most joy in life out of music." So when brains like Einstein have also used music as a medium of learning, we also need to inculcate it in our curriculum. Now, in the NEP 2020, it envisages art as a tool for concept building, inculcating cultural awareness, joyful and holistic experience. The art form a major medium for imparting culture. The arts, besides strengthening cultural identity and awareness and uplifting societies, are well known to enhance cognitive and creative abilities in individuals and increase individual happiness from early childhood to adulthood. The happiness and well-being, cognitive development, and cultural identity of individuals are important reasons for promoting Indian arts and offered to students at all levels, starting with early childhood education. And this you would find in NEP, page 52, para 22.3. So when you talk of importance of art integration in teaching a concept, art integration provides a deeper understanding of material to students and also gives students the chance to be creative in their work. The abstract concepts within the subject can be concreted using different art forms. So art can clarify concepts with ease, increase knowledge and understanding of the subject. It helps the student enjoy, relish a subject. So we do believe that left brain function, the brain has two parts, obviously. So the left brain has all the analytical and thoughtful and logical and reasoning kind of people. But right brain functions of the brain include art awareness, creativity, and imagination. And the more of the right brain that we use, the more artistic, creative, and imaginative will we get. So before I move to integrating arts in our subject, let me just quickly go through the difference between visual and performing arts. And there you can see visual arts are all about painting, sculpture, watercolor, graphics, drawing, etc., which you can see. And performing arts are all about performing on stage. It could be an opera, mime, theater, magic, illusion, etc. And performing arts have ways to express an opinion, emotion, feeling, or taste, because you're on stage. But visual arts gives a way to express feeling, emotion, opinion, or taste. So you could even have photography in your visual art. So it's a very thin list here, just a suggestive list. I can show you some more examples in today's training, today's session, and we can mutually share our ideas and learn from each other. So we have visual art, where you can see painting, photography, clay modeling, sculpture, applied art, crafts. And in the performing arts, you can see dance, vocal and instrumental music, puppetry, mime. Storytelling is also a performing art. So when you talk of visual art forms, these are works that are primarily visual in nature. Ceramics, drawing, painting, sculpture, printmaking, design, craft, photography, video, filmmaking, and architecture. So you can look at this example. This is a form of visual art. It's also called perspective painting. This is very useful when you're teaching civilizations, when you're teaching cultures. So this kind of art is very useful. Now, the picture to the right could be anything from the Incas to the Mayas, to the early tribal civilizations. And the image to the left could be the modern human civilization. So you can take it down the edges. This is just one sample of artwork. All of us know this. Does the image need any introduction? This is also a visual art, the famous Mona Lisa, known for its smile. Once again, it's a historical picture. The artist itself is very, very famous. These are toys which are also used for sculpture making. And you can use toys for civilizations. You can use toys for a variety of historical teachings. These toys in per se are not used in geography, but they are used particularly in history. So we have Lego toys, which we can use to create a whole lot of historical facts and figures. Performing arts are basically skill-based, and you normally perform them in front of public. So you're acting, singing, dancing, opera, theater, a magic show, even a mime, pantomime, a role play, public speaking, recitation, all of it would go under performing arts. So you can see there, that's a music-based mime, and then you have pantomime below. You can take up any concept. If you even wanted to take in a concept like mass movements of Mahatma Gandhi, you can show them very well here. Or you wanted to take it as a theme-based geographical concept, sustainable development, or save water, conserve the environment, conserve wildlife, conserve vegetation. Pantomimes are very, very useful. Drama, dance, musical representations. They play a very, very important role in social sciences. So you can even make infographics, travel brochures. So look at this one. This is another simple example for you. Planets in the universe, forests, oceans. So the child may choose what topic they want to make a travel brochure or an infographic on. And you can see the one to the left saying, come to the Earth, or the tour of the rainforest, or meet the 9 planets, or let's visit Japan, or maybe some beach. So when they're making these kind of travel brochures too, they may even make it interdisciplinary with art. So they may choose to write a poem or a couplet based on what they're making it on. Like if they're describing a beach or a planet or a continent or a country. So it could be grade based. The lower grades, the primary grades may not all be wanting to write poems, but they're very good at describing. So if you look at this one, image to the right, it's made by a primary grade student. This is made in the middle school next to the rainforest. Come to the Earth is grade 4. So you can see how different concepts have been used across schools and how students have integrated art with the help of their teachers, with the guidance of their teachers, and they have tried to use visual art forms here. So art integrated learning will not only make classroom transaction joyful and creative, It will promote appreciation of the rich art and cultural heritage. It must be integrated with teaching and learning process of all academic subjects of grade 1 to 12, and to promote an active experiential learning, connecting knowledge to life outside school, ensuring that learning shifts away from rote learning methods for enriching the curriculum so that it goes beyond the textbooks. Just as we feel that textbooks are dry and delivering a textbook is going to bore the students, for us, it's going to be enriching if the students are given the opportunity to integrate the art form of their choice in the curriculum. So we have implementation of art forms in the classroom. The following model of art integrated pedagogy explains the process of embedding art with other subjects for carrying out activities or projects during classroom transaction, as well as in subject enrichment activities. So the first most important thing is the teacher is at the center of learning. And here the teacher is the one who's going to initiate the activity. So the teacher is going to use ice-breaking activities in the classroom transaction and use a transdisciplinary project for internal assessment. So first you select the topic or the theme, drawing upon the previous knowledge of the student. So let's take up one theme here. Let me take up Indus Valley Civilization. Now Indus Valley Civilization I'm taking up because it goes into the primary grades where they start learning about the civilization. In middle school, I think in grade 6, again, they learn about it. And then they learn about it in grade 12. So it's across grades. Therefore, I thought we should touch upon the Indus Valley Civilization here. We provide creative inquiry opportunities for hands-on learning to students. That's the next step. So let me keep the chat box open and let me see what answers am I getting, okay, in the chat. So you could tell me what creative opportunities would you wish to give for Indus Valley Civilization, where students would get to hands-on activities. So I can see somebody writing clay models, model making, drawing, PPT, clay models of toys, model making, PPT, dressing up, timeline, murals, movies, role play, collage, collecting pictures, dramatization, jewelry making, model of the Great Bath using paper, town planning. Brilliant. You may clap for yourselves. So you have also thought of a lot of these making postures, human sculptures. Why not? So there may be many ideas that may come across. So we could probably even try out some of these ideas. Then reflection of the new learning of the subject or using an art form. So first we give them the opportunity to provide creative inquiry, hands-on learning. This means we may first ask them to check out on the Great Bath as you're writing, or the town planning, or the clay model. You show them the civilization in a movie, or you talk to them, give them a story of a civilization that has disappeared. Build the curiosity before you go to step 3, where you talk about reflecting on the new learning using an art form. This is where your art form will come in, where you may choose to get seals made, or the sculpture of the dancing girl, or the bust, or the jewelry, the role play, town planning. Absolutely, you may connect town planning to the current town plan, coins, see? And then finally, Himani ma'am, am I audible? Somebody says my voice is not audible.
No, ma'am, you're very well audible, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.
So in the assessment, so now we come to assessment. Yes, even drainage, as I can read in the chat, the drainage system can be compared to today's current day drainage, depending on where you are living. So if you're living in a place where there are constant floods because of poor drainage, you may use that system as well. Now, assessment for students is not only using history as your subject. Assessment will also include some rubrics for evaluating the art form. You have to give it some kind of weightage. Only then will the student be involved in the art form. So when you look at this, automatically a lot of thoughts have started coming in. Yes, so somebody tells me here you can compare with latest technology as well. Okay, thank you. We'll move ahead now. I'll keep the chat box shut for some time because I'd like to move ahead on the presentation. These are a suggested list of activities we can undertake, like role play. And these are common to all topics, history, geography, pol science, eco, all topics that come under social science. Role play, video making, filmmaking, documentary making or ethnography, photography, slideshow and PPT, designing through Photoshop and other apps. These days, many of us use KineMaster. Visit to historical places and monuments and make documentaries, sketching, sculpture and clay modeling, dance performances, creating art reservoir using waste material, jewelry making, students are brilliant at it, paper quilling, papier-mâché, beads, grains we do avoid using, it causes those insects to come in and it's difficult to preserve. And the art exhibition is the culmination of the artwork that has been done throughout the year. So it's not that we need to do art integrated activity only under the EBSB or only under the AIL integration of some state. Art integration is done on a daily basis in the classroom. But there is an important checklist we need to keep in mind as teachers when planning any activity. So the activity must promote experiential learning. It should not be done for the sake of doing. Students must get opportunities for hands-on experience. It should be done collaboratively, so avoid giving it to an individual student. When multiple students do it as a team, they enjoy it. Students are engaged in constructing and demonstrating their understanding of the concept and not memorizing it. Students should be able to create something new. Art forms connect to other disciplines. Connection is mutually reinforcing, not deliberate. The activity or the project simplifies the concepts being taken up. Material required for the activity or the project should be easily available, not very expensive, not bought, not a financial burden to the family. It should be eco-friendly. Students should be familiar with the art forms used. So in the art education period, that art form should be taught. And students should have been given the time to think about the content apart from the prescribed textbook. So the textbook is not the only source. They should be given research. They should be given an opportunity to go beyond, read up, and then come back. And assessment technique should be relevant, age appropriate, and should include the art form. So there are a couple of exemplars like this year. My home state is Maharashtra, and my partner state this year with Maharashtra for EBSB is Sikkim. So a very important activity I found is I asked the students to compare Buddhist art forms in Maharashtra with those of Sikkim. So they could do Thangka art, Thangka paintings of Sikkim, with the Ajanta Ellora paintings in Maharashtra. And the comparison, both being of the Buddhist period, was very easy to do. And you can see how knowledge has expanded across states. So when you integrate art and social science, like I told you, we could have role plays, poster making, storytelling, crafts, model making, sculpture. Now, planets, of course, everyone in grade 6 does. Water cycle, normally we do a diagram of the water cycle. You can have a model, you can have a working model these days. Students are very good. You ask them to use battery operated working models and you will get wonderful ideas coming up. Then you have the phases of the moon. These are Oreo biscuits. And you can see how the cream is eaten up to show you different phases of the moon. The white part is the cream of the biscuit, and you can see how cream biscuits have been used to depict phases of the moon. And this is just a simple biscuit to show you the different latitudes of the Earth. A simple, creative way in which a child will definitely remember all the latitudes that make a difference. We missed on the art gallery. You can have a gallery created. You have all these art forms coming up, and unit-wise, you can create a gallery. Then we have history. We can show what we are doing through history. I will show you some examples in history. We can create a collage of a time period. And you can see a particular time period, everything of a particular time period is just brought in. So in the olden days, we used to put up a timeline all across the class and we used to create it. Now, you just bring in, like each child could bring in just one image of the event or the unit that you're covering in class, and you put it together in the class and simply put it up on your softboard. It barely takes you about 5 minutes to create a collage in the classroom. Clay modeling, you can make the coins, you can make seals. You can go for a virtual museum tour. This started with the pandemic. Most museums across the nation were offering virtual museum tours. So you can go for these virtual museum tours. You can ask your students, you can take your students on these virtual museum tours and show them all the museums across the globe. Then we have pottery of the Harappan period. And you can ask for a comparison with clay pottery. You can ask for geometrical, mathematical comparisons. You can integrate mathematics as a subject. And this I'm showing you from the New Delhi Museum collection. In geography, This is how you can have, a visit to a rainforest. Now, this is just a brochure created by a child. You can use origami. Students are very good at cutting and making wildlife on origami. So we can use that. Then I showed you Lego toys earlier, which can be used very, very effectively for geography. There are all these apps which let you figure the earth, the globe. You can even mark your hotspots, your fault lines, your earthquakes, disasters. All of this can be done. There are apps in geography like Cetera, Bhuvan, which are authentic apps which you can use even for map work. You can show disasters like this. This can be done at a middle school level. Then using symbols for map work, you teach the students how to use these symbols and give them a map work to create. Maybe a map work of the vicinity or the map work of the area, or how to reach the nearest hospital and the police station, school. You give them these and ask them to map them on their maps. There's an educational app store for best geography apps. You can just Google them because some of them sometimes don't really work. Then you have visual analysis. It's a very important art form where we don't only just use paintings and sculptures and all, but what we see, we start interpreting. So analyzing propaganda posters from different time periods can help. Like you analyze some propaganda poster from the Great Depression to a propaganda poster of the Nazi period or the Russian Revolution or the French Revolution period. You can analyze historical photographs, like give them any image and ask them to analyze, find out what comes to their mind. It could even be the civil rights movement in the US, or it could be something about Afro-Americans, or it could be something of the Indian contemporary history that you are teaching. Now, political cartoons and their interpretation play a very, very important role in the life of the students. This one is from grade 10, political science. And students can analyze political cartoons not only from our textbooks, but from a variety of newspapers too. And they can understand public opinion, political satire, and the portrayal of key historical figures and events. We need not stick to the book. We can give them just anything. Okay, before I move further, there's too much of chat happening. So I just thought, let me just have a quick look at it. Okay, people are talking about feminist movements and Amul and Morparya. All right. Okay, best of waste, photo albums, good suggestions coming up. Fabric painting. Great. Thank you so much for your valuable inputs, dear educators. I'll proceed further. Then studying propaganda posters. This is one example of a propaganda poster. Like I told you, you can take from any period. Hitler, Nazism, Great Depression, World War, French Revolution, Russian Revolution, October Revolution, February Revolution, French Revolution, Indian movement, any, and find out the historical periods, conflicts that happened. Ask the students to analyze how governments and organizations used visual imagery to influence public opinion and promote specific ideologies. So you can show any of these propaganda posters to the students and ask them questions. Even examining infographics and data visualizations, these days a lot of this comes in our ECO curriculum. In the economics curriculum, we get a lot of these data interpretation questions, to an extent in geography as well. So infographics and data visualizations are visual representations of information and data. Students can analyze them and demographic trends, economic indicators, public health stats to gain a deeper understanding of complex data and trends can be worked out. Then we have interpreting artistic representations of history. So we have paintings, sculptures, any other artistic representation which depicts a cultural event. So most of us now know Germania or Marianne. We use these, Bharat Mata. But you can give any of these other ones also to the students to help them think critically, analyze. That is where we are. To come out of the rote memory and to learn to analyze, we can give other examples. Exploring cultural artifacts and material culture. So you can see how these are from the Indus Valley period once again that I found. But you can show, tools, clothing, pots, household items. You can ask children to bring any artifact from home and compare it to the period you are teaching. So it will be a good comparative study as well. Now, creative expression. It helps the students understand, painting and multimedia projects. But this basically works in visual art forms. So you will be able to see, this is one group of students who've created a peace mural. So they put these three things together and created a peace mural. And you can see how happy their faces are. And it is collaborative work. So many students, plus a few others behind, have worked together to put these three pictures together to create a mural. Creative writing and historical fiction. We always assume that creative writing is not our cup of tea. It goes to the English department, but it doesn't. Creative writing and historical fiction is ours. You encourage students to write historical fiction. Like last year, I'll tell you, in grade 12, I had students writing a historical Times newsletter published every month. So they wrote historical fiction, they wrote Greek mythology into it. They added events, they wrote obituaries of historical persons coming in that month. They wrote creative things. They wrote things that they had studied that month. They wrote some nice things. I'll show you a glimpse of one or two things that later in today's presentation. Just to give you a rough idea of what things can be done. And I was blessed that my batch of grade 12 that last year was able to run the newsletter by themselves. I only had to guide them and ensure that the material going in was original. So a lot of things that we do need to be tested onto our students before we get onto it. Now look at this, artistic interpretation of social issues. Give them a social issue and give them, drawings, again, visual pieces, and let them write their perspectives. Let them talk, let them debate. That is all artistic expression. Human rights, environmental issues. There is a war happening, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza. Ask them to speak, give them an issue. Role play. So you could do it with any unit you wanted to. I have done a musical role play for all the mass movements run by Mahatma Gandhi. I have done a musical role play for Constitution of India, framing of the Constitution. I have done a musical role play for the accounts of foreign travelers. I got my students to do it. You could also do it. You could choose any random topic of your choice and get students to work. Look at this. Now, the first two images that you see are last year's, where we had EBSB integration, art integration with Odisha. And you can see these are academicians from across the state of Maharashtra in the first two images, performing Odia and Maharashtra art integration on different topics. And after that, we have dances from the state of Gujarat. And you can see how in Gujarat too, they are using Gujarat and Maharashtra Warli paintings to combine and create art forms. And look at their presentation. They even dress up to express their own culture. There were some of these eye-catching pictures in my collection, and I thought I should share them with you. You all are those educators who are here to share a lot of knowledge. And these are things that we can ask our students to do. This is from my last year's Historical Times. So this is from their August issue that I picked up some of it. So 75 years of Indian independence is shown. Then they've used interesting monuments in India that they decided to write about. Some sculptures of India that are found across the globe. So they found out that there is a temple in China. Narsimha pillar is found in a temple in China. So, this is the way students will find out something very, very interesting, something that interests them, captivates their interest. They think is going to captivate the interest of the readers of their own magazine, and they go ahead and put it in. This is the picture to the left is learning by doing, where they learn about the Mesopotamian civilization in grade 9. So they made seals of the Mesopotamian civilization. Then the middle images are about art integration, where students have created this work. And to the right, again, you can see glimpses of the Historical Times, where they create an obituary of Mahatma Gandhi. And then there is some word wheel and career options with history, word search. Everything is given. Everything created by the students. It's a student-run magazine. And you can see that children have enjoyed themselves in the creation of a magazine. If they don't enjoy, they will not create it. Then these days, we find a lot of graphic novels coming in for the teaching, learning of social sciences. And graphic novels are nothing but the creation of student work. You can ask them to create comic strips. Put the comic strips together and bind them together to create your graphic novel. You can also use storytelling to create these kind of novels. And complex topics of social science, complex units, complex concepts will be very, very clearly understood using the graphic novel. Then ethnographic projects and documentaries. So this is a little time-consuming task to create a documentary on a particular issue, because to create even a film takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of infrastructure, film knowledge, and the dynamics of creating a film is difficult. But if you can manage it, wonderful, kudos to you. Students who are really into the industry, who may want to step into the SFX industry, into the visual effects and sound effects and all, would love to do this. You can give it a try. You will definitely have somebody in your school who wants to try it out. Then you can even give, artworks in the historical context of narratives. You can sometimes show narratives, and you can ask the students to see the shift in cultural movements. So this one is from the Renaissance period, which is learned in the earlier classes. So you could ask your students, and you have to move beyond the textbook to do it. And for this, we as teachers first have to plan our lessons to integrate art forms. Then these are some of the images I have got from my own school over the years. This is our collection. You can see a variety of concepts. The garden to the right of the screen on top is made from waste. And they tried creating initially an oasis, but then they ended up creating a garden there. Then you can see the beadwork. Then something that looks like a rainbow is created by red, yellow, and green bell peppers and coriander. Then the boys are seen holding some kind of a minar, Qutub Minar or Char Minar or whatever, made out of ladyfinger, bell pepper, and cheese. Then the Taj Mahal is made with potato, boiled potato. Then there is a desert oasis down, which is just painting. Then the planet with a man and trees is clay modeling. And the gender equality poster is something that is artwork from our textbook. Then these are the middle school and primary section posters on environment awareness, how to save the planet, how can we reduce pollution. There is a role play that is being conducted. So that is performing art, visual art, and this is at the middle and primary school stage. Then these are cover pages of the notebooks that students create. You can have a geography notebook or an eco notebook with any image that they like of the subject. These are geography drainage chapter diagrams, the drainage patterns. Now there is a video. So before I head to the video, I'll stop sharing the screen. And once again, I'll quickly read something in the chat. A lot of new messages seem to have come up in the chat. Okay, so I get calligraphy, mineral and energy resources. I had done this activity last year only. Somebody was asking me this. I asked the students to find out about mineral resources in the state of Odisha and Maharashtra and how to conserve them. They had to make a news clip. So I actually had these YouTube videos with condition of the miners in the backdrop and some student interviewing the miners and then talking about how and why, the rest of the group talking about how and why minerals and miners should be conserved and what are the hazards. You can take it up from there. There are a lot of things we can do. Okay, somebody talks about Tare Zameen Par movie. Tare Zameen Par talks about, I don't know, Tare Zameen Par does not actually integrate art. It is a movie on a different concept. But you can do on elections. Election, as we all know, it is also given in the art integration handbook as a topic. History Mela or a history fair, Panchayati Raj, okay. Election process is already a sample in the art integration handbook, so I decided not to use it. Okay, so yes, poverty and unemployment are very important concepts which you can use through the Amul ads, Morparya ads, okay. Then All right, so educators here have a lot of things to share with me about their best practices. And I'm glad you're able to share your best practices we are doing. Also, I would like to show you this video, if you're willing to stay on. Of how art can be integrated in the classroom. Himani ma'am, if you could tell me the sound is audible.
Yes, ma'am, it is audible, ma'am.
Thank you. So I'm not going to show you the whole, but I'm going to show you how the process of integrating art into the curriculum has been followed. So look at the step-by-step approach. Then you make a brainstorming session. You create a tableau to understand what the event is all about. And all the events were brainstormed. Ideas written down into a poetic script. And see how well it is depicted. So each child then has something to show in the sculpture. Then you have reflections. Don't forget to take down reflections at the end of any activity. And there's one more video I wish to show you. I hope I have those 2 minutes to show you one more video.
Certainly, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Just a moment. I have kept the videos open only because I wanted to show you those. There is one more integration activity here.
Land by cutting down forests.
All four turn out, one big chop. Good job.
Because our students use the arts to deepen their understanding, they remember content for a longer period of time, and they're able to use their voice, their body, their art skills to demonstrate knowledge in a way that is fun.
Important for two reasons. One is because they are beautiful and joyful.
The art staff and classroom teachers look at the guiding questions, what the big ideas are. So there's just a lot of discussion, a lot of collaboration.
The four forces help an airplane to fly. Flight, even though they are about to get on planes. We're going to put up art at the airport.
Thinking about using our four forces, we can use paintbrushes. We can even do a little bit of pouring. So we begin with Jackson Pollock and some of his artwork. The kids realize pretty quickly that he's using the four forces. They see him using gravity and thrust.
Paint went through the big blob of paint. It slowed down because that blob of paint was bigger. That is so cool!
All right.
And you can see students are now learning how to paint.
So this semester we're learning about the Anacostia River and all of like the problems and things going wrong with it, like all the pollution.
It is a story of the community's efforts to save it.
They were using an anchor text in their classroom called A River Ran Wild, which is a true story about the Nashaway River in Massachusetts. And they were using that to help build students' background knowledge. And we decided to let that be their drama piece. Step back upstage, high five. Natives come down stage. We just started acting it out, playing around with the characters, and it just kind of just started gelling together. And so we put all of our ideas from playing with it in class into one organized script.
This is a story about people who made a difference.
Good. It helps you to have to think about it much more deeply. That might just be the showstopper right there.
Studying in their classroom in this new environment.
I'd like to definitely bring to your notice that these are different ideas that we can take on from different schools, from the best practices across the globe into our social science classrooms. It is just a matter of time that we start implementing these best practices into our classrooms. So with this, I would take the opportunity to express my gratitude once again to CBSE Bharat Sahodaya, Team BTAG, and Dr. Abdul Salam once again for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to meet up with brilliant social science fraternity where we exchange ideas during the session in the chat box itself and share best practices. I hope the best practices shared in the chat actually meet up to our classroom expectations and help the classroom transaction become better and better by the day. So once again, thank you so much. I'm open to questions. I'm open to comment. You may also leave your feedback and suggestions for me in the chat box. I'd love to hear from you, and over to Himani, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for adding on to this boundless discourse. I'm sure our educators would like to have an interaction with you. Dear educators, if you have any query, any doubt, any comment, you may virtually raise your hand and you will be unmuted and you may ask your question, or you can put your questions in the meeting chat box. Yes, ma'am, we have a first question. An educator, Amruddin, could you please unmute yourself? Yeah.
Ma'am, what about the schools who are in abroad? For example, sparing state for art integration. We have sparing state. In India, we are getting sparing state. What about the Gulf countries?
Do you have a pairing for Gulf countries, sir?
Kathy, ma'am.
Yes.
I would like to answer this question. As far as I know, the Gulf schools have the same pairing states as Delhi. So their center of excellence is Delhi. So whichever state Delhi is paired with, the Gulf schools have to follow the same state map. Sir,
right.
I hope I've answered your question over here, sir. Amruddin, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Great.
Thank you, Sarita, ma'am.
Do we have any other?
Yes, Himani, ma'am. I could see one question by one Miss Meenakshi Anbergan on the chat box.
Yes. Just read out the question. Ma'am, could you read the question? I can see a lot of.
Let me see. There was a lot of traffic. So let me just find out. Yeah.
There was something about Kala Setu.
Yes, that's the same Kala Setu question. Meenakshi, ma'am, if you could please type your question once again.
Or if you're in the meeting?
Yeah. Can I read it?
Yes, ma'am. Here it is. Yeah. Should the art integration for Kala Setu be related to the topics of that particular grade? I think they're asking for the particular class.
That, of course, has to. The Kala Setu has to be with the grade. The Kala Setu topics are given in the extensive circular shared by CBSE over the years. In fact, the recent circular talks about integrating music and the parameters on which music also needs to be tested and assessed in the art integration. So if the person who's asking the question could be kind enough to just browse through that circular. It's an in-depth circular running into pages, almost 10, 12 pages. You could just go through it. It has in-depth rubrics and activities suggested for the EBSB activity. But that's a separate art integration as we do only for that one EBSB activity on Kala Setu. But this art integration that we are talking about currently is about having it to make our learning experiences joyful throughout the transaction of our curriculum across grades.
Thank you so much, ma'am. One educator has asked, will we get the certificate? Yes, after filling up the certificate and feedback form, Sarita ma'am had already put the link in the chat box. So educators, you're requested to access that. Do we have any other questions? You may virtually raise your hand or you can put the question in the meeting chat box. Khyati ma'am, I would just like to say that the chat box is full of praises. I think the educators are overwhelmed and I can see it's a unanimous feeling that it has been an excellent session so far. I hope, I hope.
Thank you.
Any question? Yes. Ma'am, let me unmute you. Yes. I can see the name. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful session. But I had a query regarding I'm not able to pay for the certificate.
Oh, I think someone at BTAC can answer that.
Yes.
Ma'am, what you can do is please save this link. You can access it at a later time. This link is open. So sometimes it does require that you need to access it at a later time.
No, ma'am, the scanner which is given there, that is not working.
We don't have a scanner, ma'am. We have a Google form link.
Yeah, the form link I have filled. But
you have to make your payments, ma'am. You have to make your payment through GPay and then.
That's what for GPay, the code which you have given, that is not visible.
Ma'am, I would suggest that you please send a mail to Dr. Abdul Salam. He will be able to sort it out.
Be a technical glitch, ma'am. You can drop in a message.
Glitch. That's what I'm saying. Please drop in a message on here to Salam sir, or you can save this link and access it at a later time because it is functioning. I just checked it. The link is functioning very much. Himani ma'am, if you could please check it at your end as well. Once just quickly.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have another question. I think Mr. Hamruddin, you would like to add on? You can unmute yourself.
His hand has been up ever since.
Okay.
Hamruddin sir, do you have another question?
No, I think he's fixed it. Okay. Do we have any other queries?
Ma'am, we just received a message that the QR code is very much functioning. So you need to check it at your end, ma'am.
Yeah, it could be a technique.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Yeah, I'll again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
you. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Sarita ma'am, should I proceed with the vote of
Yes, Himani ma'am. Yes, Himani ma'am.
Okay. Unmute everyone. Sorry, mute everyone. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I would like to extend our gratefulness and appreciation for Madam Khyati for broadening our horizons and regaling us with this boundless discourse. And I'm sure all of us are going to apply these tenets in our teaching modus operandi, and we will ensure that our young learners reap maximum benefit out of it. Dear participants, kindly note the link for the certificate and feedback form is there already in the chat box. You're requested to fill up the form with all the necessary details. If there is any technical glitch or error, you can get in touch with Dr. Abdul Salam personally. I, Himani Bakshi, along with BTAG, would like to thank Khyati ma'am once again for her gracious presence and such an enriching session. And I would also like to thank Dr. Abdul Salam for his magnanimous support and guidance to the teaching fraternity. And also thank you, sir, for this great opportunity. Also, a big thank you to the technical team, Arun Mohan sir. Like always, a flawless execution of today's session. And most importantly, a big thank you to all our educators, our participants. And we really hope we earn the privilege of your time. Thank you. Over to you, Sarita ma'am.
Thank you, Himani ma'am. Thank you so much. You did a great job as usual. Khyati ma'am, it's wonderful meeting you like this. We have met before when we go for evaluation and things. We have worked together before. So it's meeting you here on a different platform is a beautiful, beautiful experience. Thank you so much. I mean, I was amazed by the kind of research that has gone into this webinar. The research was spot on. the kind of activities, every session that, every suggestion that came up with, my mind was working. Yes, I can do this. Yes, why didn't I think of this before? It was so nicely and so well planned. Thank you so much, Kathy, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, absolutely. Thank you. It's my pleasure coming to BTAG time and again. And I feel honored with the exchange of best practices that everyone on the fraternity shares.
Thank you once again, ma'am. Arun Mohan, thank you for your support as usual. Thank you to all the participants. I'll just be sharing the attendance link once again. And on behalf of everyone of us at BTAG, thank you to all participants for attending this session, for your support that you provide at all times. Wish you a happy new year. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, ma'am. Thank you.
Happy New Year
so
to
much.
all of you.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night to everyone. Good night. I'll be ending the session now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.